Duke said, okay, enough with all that. 5'4", look, and you're on. We're going to have to get him one of those Hollywood things.
No, it ain't no countdown with Duke. She just start record, whatever y'all say.
Thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Brunch with Besties podcast. Or we going to be here all night, baby.
Okay, so as always, you have Sherry Renee,
Nadia,
Chanel,
Lakeisha,
and today we have a special guest,
April.
Hey,
welcome.
Thanks for coming.
Yes. So today is episode 6.
Woo.
Episode 6.
Yeah.
So we're kind of continuing with the relationships. We're kind of doing like a relationship series similar to the Evolving Chair podcast. But today's relationship is about mothers and stepmothers. So as you guys know, our mommy to be, Miss Nadia, she has a son who's actually over here in the studio with us. So shouts out to him. His stepmother is here with us as well. So we're just going to kind of explore their relationship and see how things developed and how they got to where they are now, to the point where she can be invited into our sister's soul circle today.
Yes.
But before we do anything, we just want to acknowledge Houston.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I'm sorry. So as you all know, Hurricane Harvey touched down in Houston and the Port Arthur areas, and it's complete devastation. And like many people, we're all devastated by the loss, and we want to do whatever we can to help. So Brunch with Besties, we are going to give $100 to the Hurricane Harvey Relief Fund, and it's very important that you do your research if you are giving donations, whatever, because a lot of people have had concerns and complaints about Red Cross and other big name organizations, but you want to make sure your funds or your toiletries or diapers or non-perishables, you want to know where they're going. So please do your research, and we'll try to post some good places to donate on the Brunch with Besties IG page. So make sure you're looking for that. But as a pod, we wanted to give back because we all have the heart to serve, and we're going to charge our other podcast family to do the same. So we hope you all are listening and do what you can to help out Houston.
Awesome. So as always, we start with a toast. So we're going to start with Miss Nadia. Who are you toasting to today?
Why you always got to start with me?
Just kidding. You know, it could be because we're going clockwise and you're first.
No, because you're right next to me.
Oh, goodness. Well, today my toast is going to go to Miss April Love Julien. I really appreciate her for taking the time to come out in the studio with us. And, you know, just to be transparent, you know, a lot of times it's really hard to even have the conversation amongst the two of us. So to allow this conversation to be on air, I appreciate that. So cheers to you.
Thank you. Miss Chanel, who are you toasting to?
So I'm going to give my toast to the artist Daniel Caesar. So I've talked about it on my blog a lot, or maybe on here too, I'm not sure, but I'm a big music fan. He just released an album called Freudian, and it's amazing. Like every track is amazing, and it's just beautifully written. Like it makes you want to be in love and happy. Like I feel like the tracks are really, really sweet. And my favorite track on the album is probably Blessed. And yeah, I want that played at my wedding and everything. It's just a beautiful song.
I saw you post that.
Yeah.
Awesome. So our special guest, Miss April, who are you toasting to?
Well, I guess I'll have to toast to Jesus.
Yes. Shout all day, every day. Right. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Because, you know, I just can't think of one particular thing, and he's just been awesome in my life. So I'm going to toast to Jesus.
Amen.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Lakeisha.
I'm going to toast to those people that are taking the time and giving their service back in the wake of Hurricane Harvey. So the medical professionals, as well as my fellow colleagues, the mental health clinicians, you know, because that's such a devastating experience to have. And so I just commend them all for taking the time and sacrificing their time and their services to help the individuals out down there.
Indeed.
I'm actually going to toast to Janiyah and Josiah.
That is so funny.
Because I was listening to the Evolving Chair podcast this morning, and Lakeisha was continuing her relationship series, and part 1 featured her 2 kids, Josiah and Janiyah, and they are hilarious.
Yes, they
are. Lakeisha asked them can you tell me about a time when you were not a good friend? And Joe said, I can't say that on the air.
Right. And that's personal.
Right. Then he said, dude, can you edit this?
And when he said that, you know, we all thought, like, it ain't gonna happen.
Keisha was like, he ain't edited nothing.
That is hilarious. Oh my god.
So just shouts out to them, because sometimes, you know, it's just good to really understand how kids think and how they process things. And just with everything that was going on with my grandmother, it just lit up my spirit just to hear them.
Absolutely. I smiled the whole time listening to them. It was awesome.
Right.
They're super cute.
Oh, thank you on their behalf.
Then their shout outs at the end.
Oh my gosh. I was just like, you know what?
It was like the Vibe Awards or something. Like, they just kept going on and on.
Exactly.
I was like, okay, y'all.
Every single person.
Right.
Everybody.
Like, I want to thank God.
Listen.
My mama.
Listen. It was like an entourage of rappers at the Vibe Awards.
But in the end, they was like, you know, and shouts out to my mama, because she is the best woman ever. And I was like, she is.
She is.
Oh, thank you.
I don't know about ever, but
Whoa. Shade.
you are pretty great.
Shade.
Most of the time. No, I'm just playing. But okay, so now we're going to go ahead and break bread. So, Miss Nadia, what's going on?
Nothing. I feel pretty boring, but I literally have not been doing much but just going to work and just resting. I do have a nurse practitioner student starting next week with me at the clinic. So I've been kind of forced to step my game up at work. Because
you can't be trifling no more, child.
Man, I've been slacking. I've been leaving early.
Not when you have to mentor
I'm telling
someone.
you, I hope ain't nobody from my job listening. It just hasn't been, great these past few months. Like I said, I'm getting it together. I'm getting it together. So
It's okay.
Step in the right direction.
That's all you can do.
Growth is important.
it is. It is.
That's all you can do.
Or maybe you'll just show her what not to do. You know, those are good lessons too. Those are good lessons.
You right.
So mad.
Chanel, what's going on, boo?
I feel like nothing much either. I'm losing my voice, so if I sound a little weird on the pod today, charge it to that. But just moving my blog in the right direction. So I have a lot of plans for that. Me and Lakeisha kind of talked about it. So starting a website, trying to get photos taken, and just moving my blog away from Tumblr, because I feel like it's kind of a safety net to moving it to my own website. So yeah, that's all in the works and getting that stuff together. So that's what I've been working on. Lakeisha's definitely been like, "Hey, are you done with your website?" Like, hey, so she's definitely pushing me to keep it
Even
going.
on the pod, she was like, "So what's your release date?" I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
She's definitely holding me accountable. So I'm like, oh no, I gotta work because Lakeisha gonna ask me about it. You gotta be ready. So thank you for that. Like, that's a real friend to be like, okay, are you doing what you said you were gonna do? So holding me accountable, and I you need that because you get lost in some other stuff. So that's my baby blog. Yay.
And Miss April, what's going on with you?
Getting ready for school. My kids start back September 5th, so just getting back in the swing of things. I've been lazy the whole summer, so just trying to get back focused and getting prepared for that.
Okay.
Awesome. You're a teacher?
Yes.
Oh, I did not know that.
What
All
grade
right.
do you teach?
First.
Oh, cool. Sister teacher, I teach kindergarten. Oh, awesome.
It's exciting.
Miss Lakeisha.
Man, it's too much to say all in like one thing. I've just been working without the O but with the E and without the ing but the N, working with the apostrophe after that.
Work.
So just some great stuff that's coming with the podcast, my private practice. So y'all just be on the lookout. Like, I'm just excited for it. So yes.
I'm mad that my brain was really trying to process like what you were saying. Like, without the O, and I was like, what? Like, what? Without the
Said, wait a
ing.
minute. So
I was
how
really
do
struggling
you
for a
spell?
minute. Child.
Oh my gosh.
It's a whiteboard over there if you want
Bad. The struggle is real.
No.
Oh my gosh.
Mine is the same, just working, and I said it last pod recording, and I'll say it again. Urban Bike Night, September 14th, Thursday, 5 to 9, free. Music, fun, bikes. Bring your clubs. If you don't have a club, if you don't ride, come out, sit on a bike, do jump start, learn how they work. We're gonna be doing tons of giveaways. It's gonna be a great time. My team has been working really hard, so I'm excited about it, and I can't wait to see you all there.
Yeah. Catch us there. We'll be there.
Yes, we will.
And did she say it was free?
It was free.
Hello.
How much is it?
Always good.
It's free. $3.99.
Right. $3.99. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and get into tea time. And so, like I said, today's discussion is we're going to discuss the relationship between Nadia and our special guest, April. So, Nadia being the mother and April being the stepmother. And Chanel has a really good term that she uses. She uses the term bonus parent. Did you make that up?
I'm not going to take credit for it. I probably heard it somewhere.
Okay.
Yeah, I was wondering where that came from.
Yeah, I think I heard it
But
somewhere.
I like that term.
Yeah.
So, I guess to start off, April, what do you think about being called a bonus parent?
Well, when Nadia first texted me and I saw the term, I was like, oh, that's pretty neat. It just sounds,
Right.
it's a bonus. It really is. So I actually liked it. Yeah. I was going to ask her, did she make that up too? So, yeah.
Okay. So why don't we start with Miss Nadia? You can give us some background on just becoming a mother. Tell us what happened, girl.
Well, I was 16 and I got pregnant.
Why do you always start it like that? Well,
and in that tone.
Every time.
And that head nod.
Oh, goodness.
girl, that was a show. People get paid money for doing
I
that.
think
It
it
still
aired
is.
after. I think it was after I had him.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely, right? Yeah. So, yeah, it was a crazy time in life. I think it was unexpected. From everyone. Everybody was like, Nadia, what? She's supposed to be like the valedictorian? Like, what's going on?
Yeah.
It was really unexpected, and it was crazy because my mom had tried to get me on birth control, like, right before I got pregnant. Like, she's like, are you having sex? And I'm like, well, I did it once or twice, but I don't plan to continue. And so I was like, no, like, I really don't, because, I came up in the church, so I was really trying to be committed to not having sex, so I'm like, oh no, I don't need to be on birth control because I slipped up, but I ain't gonna do it again. And yeah, I went to the doctor and she tried to get me on something. I took it home, like a sample. I didn't take it, and I think within like 2 months I was pregnant. So, it was definitely an interesting experience, I guess I'll say. Starting off, obviously, I was not excited, obviously, that I was pregnant, but I think that as time kind of went along, like, I definitely knew that I wasn't going to get an abortion or anything weird like that. So it was pretty, it was a learning experience, you know what I mean? So my son is here now, obviously, 13 years later, almost 14. He'll be 14 in October.
Oh, goodness.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what else you want to know about that. I mean, it just kind of...
I guess the emotionality behind it, of course, amongst us, you shared, of course, it's not looked as a great thing to be a teenage mom at 16. What was that experience like from family, friends, random strangers looking at like, oh my gosh, she's pregnant,
Right. Well, again, most of my time was spent in church and school, family-wise. Initially, my mom was not really that supportive. Close your ears, Marianne.
He's
But, she was not really that supportive. She was not happy. And her and a few members from my church that I really looked up to, they were like, you should just go ahead and get rid of this because, you need to focus on your life right now. And this ain't a good look. And this is going to be real hard. So that kind of came as a shock because I'm like, okay, I was raised in a church. Now we know that this is not what we're supposed to do. But with time, my mom definitely, that completely changed. And, she kept him the first 3 years of his life, and that is her baby. So that's how it was from her. As far as like peers at school and stuff, everybody was shocked at first, but then I think as I went along, I was like a role model for a lot of people, because they was like, she really still coming to school, and she really still getting good grades, and so on and so forth. So peers, I didn't feel ostracized or anything weird like that. It was pretty. I feel like it was pretty supportive from that realm of things. And then church family, again, nobody said it into my face. I don't know what they were saying behind my back, but
Right. Let me tell you, I'm just
child. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't as bad as I feel like it could have been.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So how did you feel? So aside from what you think other people may have felt, how did you feel about being 16 and being pregnant?
I think initially, I was embarrassed. I feel like I kind of felt like I was irresponsible. But then again, as I started to go through it, I feel like that was kind of like the turning point with my relationship with Christ too. Like it was really like, okay, well, God, you finna get me through this, and I know that if I don't have anybody else, I have you. So again, mixed emotions. But as he got closer to getting here, it was definitely all good. So
I have a question. So you talked about support from like your family, your church, your peers, but what about Dad? So how was he going through all of this?
April, you might want to step out. I'm just kidding.
You're so stupid.
No, but he was, I'm sorry, and I should not have forgot about that, because that was definitely a key part. So when my mom and everybody was just kind of like, yeah, maybe you should, not, he was definitely like, it's your body, but I want this baby. And I mean, and if you want it, I want it too. And, I'm gonna be here for you. So him and my sister were definitely like in my corner, like, you can do this, you know what I mean? So he was definitely supportive. He tried to be as supportive as he could throughout the entire pregnancy, but we know how hormones do. And there came points in that pregnancy when I was like, I don't want to have nothing to do with you. I don't want to see you. Get out of my face, So I felt like he did what he could throughout the pregnancy. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
I'm like,
You really did.
No, and then I'm sorry. Like, Sherry is sitting right here, and she was definitely a key part in that pregnancy too. My friends were definitely a key part. So Sherry was there. I think she might have mentioned it that she gained some pregnancy weight, and she spent the night at my house.
I'm going to interject, because that's not how it went. Nadia kidnapped me and made me stay with her. She took me to school every morning. I couldn't even stay with my own mom. I'm 16. I need to be at home.
Yes.
But Nadia literally would drop me off at school every day. But then to make matters worse, she would drop me off late.
So bad. So not only are you not at home, now you're going to school late every day. And Tab's going to be on your butt.
Right. True.
She had a ride, and you
Listen.
didn't have to get on the bus.
That's true. I did want
That's
that
true.
ride, child, because
Yes.
Yeah, so I mean, I definitely had the support from friends and stuff. Like, y'all definitely held me down throughout the, school day, as far as Lakeisha and Chanel, like, we were all at High School of Arts, and I was throwing up, and they were, taking good
It was
care of me,
scary.
and
We was like, what's happening?
I just remember being like fascinated, like there's a baby in your
Yes.
stomach.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then like when he would move, it would look like an alien.
Yeah.
I would be like,
my
there's
goodness.
really a human being
Right.
in your stomach.
Yes.
But I just thinking back on it, like you kind of touched on it, that you were still coming to school. She was still getting like 4.0s. And to see that and be like, wow, my friend is tight. Like, you're literally like a superhero. Like, who was like, there were other pregnant people at school. Don't get it twisted. There were other girls that were pregnant as well. Were they getting 4.0s? No. Were they coming to school every day? No.
Right.
But she was still dedicated to her education and being successful. She didn't let this, baby that she's having be a crutch for her to be like, okay, I'm going to slack off now. So seeing that on the outside and being like, my friend is really tight. Like, I was so proud of you.
Yes.
Oh,
and if
thank you,
memory
guys.
serves me correct, weren't you the only Black student in the top 10?
Yes.
So, I mean,
I was.
that's
It
pretty
was
dope.
crazy. And I think part of the driving force, you know, in that situation was that, you know, I knew what the stereotype was.
Yes.
And it was like, if I'm choosing to keep this kid, like, I need to make sure that I do everything that I can, you know, to make sure that he's good, that we aren't counting on anybody but ourselves, you know. So that was definitely key for me.
And then
did
you
that.
even like so we used to work at Cops, and you were like, okay, I can't do this anymore because the smells of the food and everything is kind of triggering me, making me nauseous. And then you went and got a job at a law office. Like, isn't that crazy?
Crazy, because again, you know, talking to my mom, she was like, nobody is going to hire you with this big belly. Like, you are not going to be able to find a job. And I was like, and it was an internship at like Foley and Lardner. And you know, I didn't really want to be a lawyer, but it was some good money. You know?
Right.
I
Make
was
it do what
we
it
gonna
do.
see what this is about. And it was awesome. It was an awesome experience. So, yes.
So were there any difficult points, or what would you consider to be the most difficult period during that time?
During the time that I was pregnant?
Yeah.
I think it was just the beginning, like finding out that I was pregnant and really becoming okay with it.
Okay.
It was really scary, you know, it's the unexpected, you know. So I think that once I started to trek along the journey and things like that, and things started to, you know, unfold, I started to become a lot more comfortable. But I think it was the beginning, like, oh my God, this is really happening.
Yeah.
I'm pregnant. None of my friends are. You guys were supposed to be, but it was just
But it would be so much better if they would. Like,
That's a Lifetime movie, The Pregnancy Pact.
oh God,
It is.
It really is a Lifetime
It
movie.
is a Lifetime movie.
oh my goodness.
It's like based on like real life too.
I think I saw that
Yeah.
years ago.
Serious stuff.
okay.
Yeah.
So then, moving along. So then, what happened with your relationship with your son's father?
Kim over there giving me the eye, though. He's over there eyeing me down.
Do Amaria need to step outside?
He's all right. So what happened with that relationship? So while I was pregnant, I decided that I did not want to be with his father because of the fact that his father is a musician, which his son is now too. And at that time, I was still in high school, so I think he had just graduated. And his focus was more on his music. It was like, you know, I got these gigs and, you know, I'm going to make this money and blah, blah, blah. But in my mind, I was like, okay, I understand that, but we need a steady income.
Right.
And it was hard for me to process or accept the fact that I had went out and I got a job at this law firm, like 6 months pregnant, and he couldn't get like a steady, stable job. You know what I mean? And I don't view myself as like a real like musician or artsy type person. So I think I just wasn't trying to hear it. I'm just like,
Right. You weren't trying to understand.
You didn't, you didn't not even that you were trying, but you didn't understand how that worked.
Exactly. I was just kind of like, we got a baby. We need some money. That equals getting a job.
Wow.
That was all I could
That
think
thought
of.
at 16, though, like, that's crazy that you had that in your mind to be
Right.
so mature to think like that.
Right. So it just kind of got to a point where I was like, yeah, I can't do this. And, you know, he obviously didn't want that. He's just like, really, you're being nuts, you know. But after somebody throws that in your face for so long, like, you kind of just feel like, I don't need this. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe I will leave, you know. So that was where things kind of ended with us. And then, you know, he still was around. He was at the birth. You know, he's always been a active part of his life. I think after he was born, we might have tried something maybe once or twice, like right after he was born, but it just never, like, we just never were on the same page. So, yeah.
Okay. And so then, Miss April, when did you come into play?
I met Alex in 2007. I think Amarian was turning 4 when I met him. And initially when I met him, I actually met him in church. I had just came back to Milwaukee from college, and I was not looking for a relationship at all. And I happened to meet him through a mutual friend. And so after meeting him, he informed me probably like 3 days later, which the friend gave him my number, And I was like, girl, why you do that? Because that's just not what I was on. And he was a musician, and I can really attest to a lot that Nadia is saying regarding musicians, because earlier in our stages, he, you know, I understood and supported what he wanted to do musically, because he was very talented and still is very talented. And so, but at the same time, I was like, you still need a 9 to 5 until this, you know, suffice. So, and he did do that. So, but like I said, I wasn't looking for a relationship. We met through the mutual friend. She gave him my number after I told her not to, and he called, and so, you know, I acknowledged him, and we had a conversation, but I let him know that, you know, I wasn't looking for a relationship, nothing like that, and he was kind of persistent. He called a couple more times, and so after talking with him, he was like, it was probably like the third day, and he was like, well, before, you know, we have any more conversation, I want to let you know that I have a 3-year-old son. And so immediately I was like, oh, well, it was nice knowing you. You know, good to meet you, but that was definitely, I had this list, I'm pretty sure everyone had some type of list, and that was the deal breaker on my list. And so I was just like, no, you know, it's not going to go anywhere. But he was like, you know, I would like for you to meet him. And I'm like, I've only known you 3 days. I definitely don't want to meet your son. But and so eventually, it was probably like a couple weeks later, I actually met him somewhere at his mom's house to meet his mom, and his son was there. And I don't know if you were I think you were in college, Nadia, at that time, and working, because he had a Mariana a lot. And he was there, and he had just turned 4, and he ran up to me and like gave me the biggest hug in the world. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, who kid is this? And he was so sweet. Like, he was like just the bomb kid. He was very busy, but he was just, you know, he was such a great kid. And so Alex was like, you know, this is Amarian, this is my son. And I'm like, oh, I think I'm gonna like Alex. You know, because his son was so awesome. And I was starting to get to know Alex, and I could pick up a lot of traits that I kind of connected with. But at the same time, you have this kid. I don't do the baby mama stuff at all. And so, but after meeting him, it was just like, I think I want to get to know Alex. And so after that, we started to talk more, eventually started to get serious, and that's when all the stuff started to surface.
So before we go into
don't get to
the stuff, oh Lord. Now, April, did you have any experience with anybody else who had kids before, like for the baby mama drama, quote unquote, or was it just like your perception?
It was definitely my perception, only because I think where I was raised on 10th and Ring, which is like a block off Burleigh, the heart of the ghetto. I have 3 brothers. They all have baby mamas.
Oh, okay.
And I hope they don't listen to y'all podcast, because they all crazy. And so it definitely had a lot to do with my perception, which is something that once we, you know, started to talk, I let her know it had a lot to do with my perception of this is how baby mamas are, like, you know, in general. So I kind of just generalized it, period. I have this category where if you're a baby mama, you act like this. Okay. And so that was my initial response to him. Like, I already know what that consists of, just having in mind the experience from my brothers and, you know, their baby mothers. I hate that term, but and so I already had this perception, this stigma of what it was, and I'm like, no, I don't want any parts of it. So,
I was going to ask that too.
And you touched on deal breaker. That was a deal breaker for you. What made you change your mind?
It had not changed until he came and gave me that hug. Okay. I still was definitely feeling the same way. Like, you know, I'm going to get to know him, but I know I definitely wasn't looking for, you know, a relationship, settling down, or any of that. Like I said, I had just finished my undergrad degree. I just moved back to Milwaukee, was actually coming out of a relationship. So I wasn't looking to, you know, for any of that. So, but after meeting Amarian, it was just like, you know, this, I don't know. It's my, you know, something different. Let me see what it's about, you know. So, yeah.
So then, do you remember what your first interaction was with Nadia?
I don't remember.
You know what? I do remember. we were at a park. I don't know if you remember. It was Alex. I know definitely not now. It was Alex and I and Amarian. And I don't know if we tried to set something up so that we could meet or I think it was more along those lines because I know that we were there and it was so awkward because one, I've never did the baby mama thing before. So Amarian was just playing and I think he was 4 at that time. He was just playing at the park and me and Alex had a conversation because I was like, at some point we're going to have to talk or, if we plan on getting serious. Because at that point, he was just like, I know you're my wife. I know we're going to get married. And I'm just like, yeah, probably not, but I'm going to see where this goes. And so I was like, well, being that you have a son, I already know how that works, my, perception of how it works. So I need to, and so I don't know if Alex contacted Nadia or how we ended up at the park, but we were at a park and Amarian was playing and Alex and I were there and Nadia came and I'm almost positive that was supposed to be our introduction to each other, but it was kind of awkward still because Amarian saw his mom and ran up to her and he was, they were talking and everything and so I had his bubbles or something, so I caught myself trying to walk up to her to say hi and introduce myself, but when I got up to her I was like, here's his bubbles, and I kind of walked back. And so it wasn't really an introduction, it was just like, that's the baby mama. So so I know that was my initial contact with her, and then after that I remember I don't know if you remember.
Look over your life.
She don't.
I remember Amarian was going to SDC, I think it was, on Capitol or something. Yep. He was going there and we were still fresh in. And it's funny, I just had this conversation with Amarian not too long ago. So I was like, now I see, her thoughts on everything. Because I would have been like, girl. But he was going to SDC. And like I said, I think you were working in school. But Alex would pick him up every day. And at that time, I was driving and he wasn't. So I would come to his house and take him to get Amarian every day. And so I would pick him up and bring him back home. And so it had gotten to a point where he would get gigs at a certain time. And he was like, you may need to grab Amarian for me. And of course, I'm like, no problem. We had, we were pretty comfortable in a relationship or whatnot. And but we still, Nadia and I still didn't really have a relationship at that point. And so I'm like, that's no problem. And so I think he contacted Nadia and was like, yeah, I think I need to put April on Amarian's emergency contact. Why did he do that? and so I don't remember the conversation because I'm pretty sure Alex turned the volume down because he probably knew what it was going to be. But I just know it was to the extent of, have you lost your mind? Like, I don't even know your girlfriend. You're not going to put her on my emergency contact. Right. At that time in my mind, I'm like, I just want to make sure you get picked up from school. Yeah. And so, but not thinking at the same time, this is this girl's whole son. She don't know me. I would have been like, you're not putting your, no, that's not happening. Right. But, and so I think at that point, we kind of, went from there.
And go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
For Lakeisha, I'm sorry.
Edit that out, dude.
He not. No, I'm sorry, Lakeisha.
Cheers. Because I'm riding that white limo, so he better.
She said, if you want me to keep riding that limo. Dude, let me tell you something. We're going to be here whether you edit that thing out or not, okay? Right. We're going to be here every week.
Whether
you edit that out or not.
You're so stupid.
We going to always ride this white limo.
You're right. You're right. Because I ain't getting off. So, so April, to go back to, I think at that time it probably was hard for you to see like, oh, I should at least have a conversation with her. But looking back now, do you feel impressed? Like maybe you could have took the initiative to Alex to be like, hey, let me talk to her at least before, putting my name on right. Because you thinking like, oh, he needs to get picked up. I just want him to be safe. Right. But as a woman, to touch base with another woman to be like, hey, my name is such and such, and I'm in your child's life, this is the scenario, whatever. Did you, looking back on it now, because of course then y'all were young and you probably wasn't thinking about that, so looking back, do you think you would feel more impressed to take that ownership to Alex to be like,
absolutely, hey. And that actually happened. At first I didn't immediately concerning that situation because and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nadia, but I don't think they had the best relationship at that particular time. Like, because it was a lot of
me and Alex.
You and Alex had the best relationship at that time. So I didn't really feel comfortable reaching out to her because I wasn't sure where they stood. You know what I mean? And so I didn't really want to overstep and kind of, you know, but eventually it did get to that point where I'm like, let me just talk to her because I came into the situation like I don't even know her, so I don't have anything against her. So, you know, maybe we can just iron out some of the situations. And I remember reaching out to her. I contacted her and I let her know. And this was a little further on because at that point we were starting to get real serious. And, you know, we had been talking about marriage and that type of thing. And I reached out to her and I was like, you know, I just want to have a conversation because I feel like, and I don't know, it may have been the way that I said it or I don't know for sure, but I remember saying that, you know, I'm going to marry him, so we're going to have to find, and I know it probably came off like, girl, don't tell me, you know, that type of thing. So I did reach out to try and have a conversation, but because of the way things were already, I don't know if it went over the way that it should have. And so looking back, I was 23, 24 at the time. I definitely would have reached out probably in a different way and tried to iron some things out in a different way.
Do you guys think that you ever set boundaries in terms of, like, for example, some things that I've heard in the past, like when the bonus parent may, like, post a picture of, like, them and their stepchild, right? Sometimes the mother can kind of be like, who does she think she is? That's my baby, not her. But, you know, like that whole thing. Like, do you think that you guys have ever set any boundaries? Like, he can call you mom, he cannot call you mom. Or, you know, like what's appropriate and what's not.
We never really did that because we weren't really on talking terms.
Right,
so
we wasn't
like
talking.
That conversation didn't really occur. And like, hearing her say all the stories and stuff, I don't remember the stories, but I do
pregnancy
remember. Well, even outside of pregnancy, child, my brain.
Nadia brain.
But I do remember that there was like around the time that she first came into the picture, I was definitely off the chain at points. It was like sometimes Alex would say stuff and I'd be like, I don't know who you talking to, but you ain't talking to me. And this is my baby and blah blah blah. It was just I remember being like I shouldn't say having him take me, but letting myself get to the point sometimes where I'm like, who are you? Like I would completely jap out on him. So like, you know, like when she said like he would turn down the value, it was times where I would like curse and like he would be like, bruh, like what is wrong with you? Like
so then, but why? Like why? So do you think that you were being the quote unquote crazy baby mama?
I think that there were points that I took that on, not many. But there were some times where I felt like I had a legitimate reason, you know, for things like, you know, kind of like you said, like the conversations that we didn't have, like as far as like boundaries, you know what I mean? Like, so she just picking up my baby now?
Right.
Or so she just posted my baby on Facebook? Like what is this? Like I need to know her. And I feel like it's a scary place to be because if you haven't really had that conversation with the other person or like formally met the other person, it's like, okay, my son is coming home talking about this lady that he cares so much about, but I don't know her.
I know nothing about
There's
her.
no
And I guess I kind of felt like you need to respect the fact that I'm his mother and you need to make sure that I'm comfortable. I mean, I can't dictate who you date, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But I think that I would give you the same courtesy where if I was dating someone serious, you would at least know a little something about this person or, you know, get to know them or whatever the case may be. So that was part of it. The other part of it was just times where I was just OC.
Now, I'm going to reflect that question to you, Nadia. Did you ever feel impressed? And of course, you were young then, but looking back now, to be like, you know what? I'm going to have a conversation with her to know who this woman is around my kid. You know, just as a mama being like, yeah, Alex should take the initiative to do it, but Oh, can we not say his name?
Girl, we
She said his name, so
I was gonna say.
I just followed the lead of his wife.
I would like to.
His wife said his name, so I think we good.
I wanted to go on record that I started off by saying
The dad.
The dad. You
Yeah.
did say that.
y'all
I
see the
did
name
too.
out there.
Right.
We didn't said it 45 times by
But
now.
the reality
So
of it
it's out.
is it's like anybody that knows April, that knows
They-
me,
yeah.
they know Alex. So
Okay.
so I guess it really
I
doesn't
just want to
matter.
make sure. So
Yeah.
then I'll be like, dude, edit that out.
You said she already said April loved Julian, so I'm pretty sure
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah,
know
that's
Alex
true.
Julian is her husband.
Right.
That's true.
It's all good.
But did you, looking back now, of course, do you feel impressed where you could have been the one to, make that first step to reach out to be like, hey, I'm
Right.
his mom. Who are you?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Let's
Right.
figure something out and
Definitely.
communicate.
Again, my memory is not the greatest, but I do remember. I mean, I feel like we did take steps to do that, but it was like later on.
Right.
So right away, I could have done that. Again, I think I was just too busy being,
Yeah.
messy me. I don't know.
But I think that whole situation of having a baby so young and then, it's, out of wedlock and you don't know how it goes because you're new to it. So you don't know what to expect or what to make of all of that. So you're kind of
Right.
figuring it out as you go. And you all
Right.
attested to that. Because I feel like in my own personal situation, like I reached out and it didn't go anywhere either. So I really feel like the dad, who's the common factor in all of this, he has to be the person to be like, I need to meld this, to bridge this together. And that's just what I feel personally. I think as the man, you should be like, okay, well, here is my new person, here's the mother of my child, and we all need to make this work. Maybe that's in my utopia type of world, but I really feel like it takes that man to really be like, okay, I don't have any feelings for this person. I want to be with this person, but I have this child that's gonna love both of you, because kids are really like, they latch on.
They do.
So it's really important that dad, who's the common piece, bridges that gap.
And it's interesting because in me and April's situation, I don't feel like it was Alex that bridged that gap. I feel like it was just us. Like it was like, our Marion is the important person here. You know what I mean? So we need to figure out how to make this work for him. I think Alex was just kind of at the point, I think Alex and Miles were just kind of like, y'all crazy. So we just
Right.
and
And waiting on them, you probably wouldn't be where you're at today.
Right.
In the
That's
same
true.
moment,
Right.
That's true.
So a couple questions that just came to mind were, April, outside of Armarion, you don't have any other children,
Right.
right? So I'm wondering, Nadia, did you ever consider that? Like when some of the things that April would do, because I don't have kids. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you
So when April said like, I just want to make sure he gets picked up, like that would kind of be my train of thought,
Right.
Because I don't have children.
Right.
But then when you're a mother, you have a different train of thought.
Right.
Who is this lady picking up my kid?
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I guess I'm wondering, on both of you guys' end, did you ever kind of try to put the other, put yourself in the other person's shoes? Like, okay, her perspective is really this, and that's probably why we're not aligned.
Right.
I
think I did think about that on several occasions, but again, I will let my crazy take me back to, okay, but Alex is a father, and why can't he put himself in that situation where if I was talking to somebody else, how would that make him feel? You know what I mean? So then I would just, I would just go back to crazy. Like, well, that's his wife, so it's his responsibility to have that conversation with her. You know what I'm saying? And not necessarily think like, okay, well, she's her own person. Maybe they're not having the conversation because they don't think that it's a big deal. So maybe you should bring it up. It was just more so like he know what it is. You know what I'm saying? So why ain't he fixing it?
that is funny. Well, okay.
but that's the biggest mistake with
Exactly.
communication, assuming the person knows.
That's true.
And on his behalf, let me just, because I don't want to make it seem like we didn't have conversations at home, because I was OC too. It wasn't, just Nadia, but so at home we would have conversation, and there had been many times where he tried to, just really make it plain, the situation of what it was in terms of him and her, what happened, where they were, and, what was going on. And so there were many times that he tried to say, let's just talk about it. I'm going to call her and, let her know this, that, and the other. And I was just like, no, you're not. It was many times where I was just like, no, because, once again, my perception, I know how she's just doing this because she's just, I had that mindset a lot. So a lot of times he would get frustrated and was like, you know what? Well, whatever, it just, whatever happens. Right. So there were many times that he would try to reach out to Nadia and kind of control the situation, because Alex he's non-confrontational. Like if he can fix the situation without it being a big blow up, or if there's a way that he can work things out, he would definitely try to do that. And there were many times that he would try to call and I would be like, okay, you call and I'll talk to you next week. Like, type thing, just being petty or, whatever the case may have been. But he, as far as, the male stepping in, being that's your child's mother and I'm your wife, you need to fix the situation. There were many accounts where he did try to do that. And I was just like, no, because then I feel like you taking her side or, those type of things. And so it would get to the point where he would be like, you know what? Whatever, then you call her. I don't care if somebody called, whatever, and he would just kind of just move on from that. So,
do you ever feel like there was competition then? You know what I mean? Like between the two of you. I'm really asking both of you guys.
I mean, I think of when I first found out that like they were dating and that it was a serious person in his life. There was times where I tried to pull the baby mama card, like where I'm like, well, your son need this, so what's more important? Or, I was really kind of petty like that at first, so in that sense, there was kind of a competition because I think I was kind of trying to get a sense for how serious this was too. You know what I mean? Like, because he had talked to other girls, you know what I mean? But this girl, it was like, yeah, I can't talk to you no more, or, I'm not, or, don't call me after this time or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I ain't calling you to be on nothing OC. So who is this chick that all of this is changing?
So he was trying to set boundaries.
He was. Yeah.
Okay.
He was.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it was like anything crazy going on between us. That,
Right.
Like,
No, but I think that he was trying to say, out of respect for my relationship, it's inappropriate, even if you're just calling for no, like you said, on nothing OC, but he's just like, but this isn't a good look.
Ooh, exactly.
How can I explain this?
And that was new for me, so I was like kind of trying to push against it, like, hold on, I need to see what's going on.
So then, April, on your side, do you ever feel like there was some competition?
I did, only because just the fact that that's your child. I know that's a bond that it's just you can't do anything with it. And so just on the strength that was his child's mother, and I always had just this thing about baby mamas in terms of you still have to respect your child's mother, like no matter what, remarried, y'all don't get along, whatever the case may be, that's the mother of your child. And so I think that that was something that he had in mind, is that, I can't just, be any kind of way or whatnot, because that is the mother of my child. And so I think in terms of competition, that was something I felt like I had to kind of compete with, in terms of she has a child by him, whereas we trying to establish, something fresh. So.
So then, what role do you think that you play in Armarion's life?
As the bonus parent.
Bonus parent.
I think that we are. I never refer to him as a stepson, and not out of disrespect. And I had a conversation with Nadia regarding that as well. But because that's really how I view him, as, my son, realizing that I know who his mother is. I would never try to replace, her as a mother. But, I still feel like that's my son, especially being that I was a part of his life since he was 3 years old. So it's like it's been a long time. We have a strong bond. And so I feel like, I do have a role at the same time, whereas if something's taking place or I want to do something, I need to contact his mom and let her know. Right. You know, even if Alex and I have discussed or whatnot, I still need to reach out to her. And that we had to get to a point where, you know, I realized that was something that needed to take place. So the role that I think that I play is, you know, I'm his father's wife. I'm his helpmeet. So whatever he needs me to do, you know, in terms of Amarian, that's what, you know, my focus needs to be. Now, if Nadia call and you need something done, I'm there, because I feel like at this point we're family and it's all about him. And so if there's a line where she felt like was crossed, or she called and say, you know, April, I felt some kind of way because of this, I feel like that's something that needs to be respected, because once again, it's about Amarian. So understanding that you do have a role, and it's not taking nothing from me as, you know, being Alex's wife, but the simple fact that I'm not his mother, his biological mother. I'm his stepmother. So, you know, whatever boundaries now that we've created or conversations we hadn't set, then that's what, you know, I feel like I need to abide by. So
okay. So then, what are your reactions to her response, and what do you think the bonus parent's responsibilities are, or what role should they play?
I mean, I think I would agree wholeheartedly. I think that once I got in the position where I was getting married and Amarian was having a bonus dad, I definitely started to see her perspective a lot more. So at first, you know, like she mentioned that she calls him her son. Y'all can attest to this. Like at first when I would see posts and stuff and you know, she's like, my son, I was like, hold on.
Wait a minute, child.
Hold on. But it's like now, you know, I'm at the point where it is, I mean, I kind of feel like it shouldn't be this step mom or this step dad, because, you know, when I think of my husband and all he does for him, I'm like, I don't want to make him feel less or, you know what I mean? Like he's a bonus parent because he's doing everything that I do or, you know, that, you know, his dad does for him. You know what I mean? So so I definitely agree with that. I mean, it took time to get there, but definitely on the same page 100%.
Yeah. Perspective is everything.
Yes,
So when you find yourself in that situation, then it allows you to see things a lot clearer. I have a bonus parent, right? So I have a stepmother, and it's crazy because stepmothers, you usually hear about them in a sense of evil, right? There's always an evil stepmother or you know,
Thanks,
and then
Cinderella.
Right? and even my grandmother, you know, she always says my stepmother hated me. You know what I mean? So I've never had a good perception of a stepmother, but then when I got a stepmother, like she treated me like I was her daughter, so I literally call her mom, or I'll be like, you know, to differentiate when I'm with y'all, I'll be like Mama Gail, so y'all know, but when I'm in her presence and I'm with her, I call her mom because that she treats me that way, and not to take away from my mother, you know, but also to acknowledge my stepmother and everything that she has done, and so I don't want to be dishonoring on either side, and so sometimes that can kind of put the child in a bit of a bind,
Absolutely. And it's so crazy because now that you say that, like sometimes I wish that we would have, I mean, it's hard because you don't always know how things are going to go from the beginning. But our Marianne started off calling her April, and he called my husband Miles. And like to this day, he still calls them that. And sometimes I do kind of feel like, you know, that's kind of a disrespect. You know, I mean, like, you know, from like back in the day, like you don't call adults by their first name, you know. But with us just being new to this and so young, it was just like, well, that ain't your mama, so don't call her mama. Or that ain't your daddy, so don't call him daddy. But now I wish that was not the case, because now he'll kind of say it. Like if he's talking to his like friends or something, like, you know, but I think he still says, oh, my stepmom or my stepdad, you know what I mean? But I think he never did it because he felt like it was unacceptable, you know?
Yeah. Hindsight is 2020.
It is. And Sherry, to piggyback off of the perspective thing, I think you guys are definitely in a better place now because you're confident in your role, and before it don't sound like you were confident in your, you know, you honestly probably felt your role as a mama was being threatened, and you, April, not really knowing, well, what is my role? I mean, I want to treat him just as such as he's my son, that, you know.
Absolutely.
So yeah.
Yeah. And I also recall seeing this one episode on Steve Harvey, and he was like, you know, that he has a blended family, and he was like, all of my kids call me dad because I take care of them, and I'm not trying to differentiate between them, so they all need to call me dad. If you're in my house and I'm taking care of you, I'm your dad.
Right.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So then, I guess one of the questions that I have is, how would you describe your relationship today?
I think that we are definitely in a much better place. I think that, you know, with anything, you kind of have thoughts or experiences that kind of trigger old experiences, and you kind of like, hold up, you know, but for the most part, we have grown tremendously. And I mean, I think that things are only going to get better from here, you know.
Absolutely. Amen to that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. You know, it's always going to be a learning process, I believe. Anytime you have a blended family, you're going to have some issues. Everything's not going to be perfect.
Right.
But we've come a long way, and we just recently had a conversation probably a month ago or so. But just saying how you learn, and then the good thing is that you learn from those mistakes and not make the same ones. And so I'm sure along the way there'll be bumps, but I think now we're better able to get around them. We're more confident in our roles, so we can reach out to each other and fix situations that may arise instead of building on them and making them worse. So I love the place we're in right now.
And the crazy part is that we always joke and say that if we weren't in this situation, like if she wasn't our Marianne's bonus parent and Alex's wife, that we could see ourselves being friends.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
So listeners, keep hope alive.
Right. Now, what advice would you give somebody, April, that is a bonus parent that is struggling with that communication with the bio mom or bio dad, whichever it may be? What is your advice to those?
Married, so actual stepmothers.
Yeah, listen.
Because I think it's a difference because when you're not married, it's like. Now, there's some things that I feel like that shouldn't have been done when not being his wife.
Yeah,
I was just a girlfriend. You never know which way that's going to go. So you should have major concerns about your child in that instance. But to those who are married and, plan on being together forever, I think that communication is very important. So definitely keep an open line of communication. And y'all pray for Nadia over there.
So Dooch is like, don't you be throwing up in here.
He did look up like, wait a minute.
He was eyeing the best out of the best.
But communication, I think.
Go ahead.
Communication, I think, is very important because, like you said, your perspective, you never really know what it is until you talk and, understand the other person's side. And getting together as the dad, the mom, sitting down and setting those boundaries, doing those things early if that's, for sure what you're going to do. Because once those things are set and in place, it's easier to establish things.
Yeah.
Nadia? Whoa.
I'm sorry, y'all. Like, when I had that little scare there, I kind of...
Everything went out and was just like... So what advice do you have for, the bio parents who have bonus parents involved?
Okay,
just based on your experiences, what advice?
Yeah, I mean, I think transparency is key. Obviously, like, you want to make sure that you package everything correctly so no one's offended. But you need to be honest, and share what your concerns are, and therefore communicate after that, as April highlighted. I did hear that part.
Communication is key
exactly
to any relationship.
Exactly.
Any relationship.
Any relationship.
Per our last episode. What was it? Episode number 5.
We only had 6. So.
Girl, I can't keep everything.
6 minus 1, 5.
So I saw this article, and it's talked about 10 things that real moms think but never say. And then there was another one of 10 things that stepmoms think and never say. And it's kind of funny because I think all of my friends who are married or are mothers, they don't they're not married to a guy with kids, or they're not, you know what I'm saying? So I've only had kind of Nadia, your perspective of how it looks. But when I was reading it, I was like, that's so interesting to hear April's side, and it kind of made me feel bad, because I think that I'm kind of usually more so in your mindset, Nadia, where it's like, don't post a picture of my friend, baby, who are you? You know what I mean?
Right.
But then when you read the other side, you're just like, oh,
now you see their
Right.
perspective.
yeah, you see their perspective.
Right.
So I'm gonna read them, and please let me know what you think.
This should be interesting.
It's number 1, these are my kids, and they will never be yours. So please don't make them or even allow them to call you mom. It's not appropriate, and it's completely disrespectful. Plus, it pisses me off.
Wow. I think we just addressed that one.
Yeah. 2, don't discipline my children. This is the responsibility of the real, all caps, parent. If they do something that you don't like, tell your husband and let him handle the situation.
No, that's an interesting one, and I'm not going to keep stopping you between everyone because that'll just take forever. But it made me think about our Marianne with my husband, and with my husband being a male. You know, it's sometimes very hard for him to, you know, kind of not always discipline, because like when we first started to date, I kind of made it clear to him, or not date, but when we first got married, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want you whooping him, you know, just let me take care of it, you know. But now as our Marianne is getting older, he sees that, you know. So sometimes he might say some stuff, and I'm like, no, now would you say that to your daddy?
Right.
Or would you, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to be very careful with that, because if I can't discipline him, then who does he think that I am then?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we had to kind of change that up too. It's like, well, if you get jacked up, then you just get jacked up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because this is the same man that's taking care of you too.
Yeah.
And if I'm letting him in this house to say that he's your bonus parent, then you have to know that he has that right, because he's taking care of you. You know, so
Then when the shoe's on the other foot and Godson is at...
No, April can't. I'm just playing. No, completely the same. Completely the same.
No, the reason why I asked is because it was implied that it was okay, but sometimes we make things okay for us,
Right.
and then it's not
That's
okay
true.
when
Right.
the same situation happens on the other end.
No, like
So, April, you have the green light in case that wasn't clear. I'm just playing.
He looking like
I do not. I have never whooped him.
He's a good kid.
Yeah, he is,
He's a really
and
good
plus his dad is enough. Like I've been trying to get him out of whoopings when he was younger. Cause
Number 3 says, no, I don't have to show you any respect at all. You earn my respect through my children. If they like you, I like you. It's that simple. Do not make my kids hug and kiss you. My children are very affectionate on their own, so don't ask for a hug or a kiss. That's invading their boundaries. If they want to hug or kiss you, they will. If they don't offer, then don't ask.
For me as a parent, I just feel like that just goes for my kids in general. I don't care who you are. Like, you know, aunts, uncles, cousins. Don't do that.
I hug and kiss your kids.
But I mean, they don't mind it. But you know, you have those people that are just like, you gonna give me it. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't do that.
I was gonna
Yeah.
say, because I be like, God, kids, can I have a hug? They have to kind of stand off.
And JoJo usually
They
just hugs
do.
me on
They
his
do.
own.
Yeah.
Like he
They
never,
love it.
he just comes up and hugs you. That's just who he is.
5, and obviously Godson is older, but it says, do not bathe my children. That is their father's job, and I honestly don't feel comfortable with anyone seeing my children naked. All about boundaries here again.
I mean, there's some crazy people in the world,
Yeah,
man.
I
So
mean-
you gotta be careful.
I mean, you have to be careful. And again, I think that I would probably, that was my mindset when they first started to date, got married, so on and so forth. But now, obviously, that I know her and, you know, their situation, that's not where my mind is. And obviously, he can bathe himself at this point. So
Right.
But I think that goes back to trying to establish a relationship and boundaries up front and just get aligned there. You know, if you hurt my children, you will go missing. That is not a threat. It is a promise, and it will be kept.
It is.
Number 7, act like an adult around my kids. That means wear clothes that fit. Don't dress like a slut. Keep yourself clean. Don't cuss. Don't try to be their best friend. You are a step parent now, and they have friends of their own.
So Some of the stuff is just like, thankfully, Alex chose a pretty stellar partner. You know what I mean? Because you would just hope that you kind of have those morals and things like that.
Right. She came up in here toasting the guy with her Black Girls Rock shirt on. Talking about how they met at church. I'm just playing.
She all covered up. And here's Sherry out here with her ripped jeans on.
With her faithful chick.
Hey, you know, that's because I love God and ripped jeans. I do. You know.
You can still be cute and love God.
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, goodness.
Set an example for them. Don't drink or do drugs or anything illegal around my kids. Okay, I think it's pretty safe to say that.
Yeah,
we
that
can
ain't
just keep
happening.
scrolling.
Right. That's
This
a
one,
no-brainer.
though, it says, don't badmouth me ever. I will always be their number one, and you have to accept that. Also, you and I will not see eye to eye on everything. So if you say bad things about me in front of my kids, you will feel the wrath of the mom from hell.
That's interesting. I think that both April and I try very, very hard to not express our anger
Absolutely.
in front of our Marion. Now he is kind of messy.
Yes.
So there was times when he came home like, well, you know, blah blah blah.
Absolutely.
Or, you know, blah,
gonna
blah,
tell it
blah.
all.
And you
Yes,
like,
he is.
Lord.
but, you know, I would try really hard at, you know, in those moments to just be like, well, all right, I'll just talk to your dad.
Right. And then not only that, but like other people too, like in your family, because I know like my mom in my situation, my mom is very vocal, but I try to make it a point to tell her, we're not going to talk about this in front of JR or whatever. So even other people in your family, like letting them know, like, okay, you're not going to badmouth, you know, the other person in the presence of the kid. So
Number 10 is really interesting because I've heard this a lot. It says, do not be the babysitter for your new and wonderful husband when I send our kids over there. So basically it gives a long paragraph, but it's saying, you know, when the dad has the kids, sometimes it's the stepmother who's actually taking care of, watching, and doing everything with the kids. And I've heard that not only with the step parent, but with the dad's mother. They'll be like, I sent my child to his dad's house, and it's really his girlfriend, or it's really his wife, or it's really his mother.
Yeah, grandma.
Who's taking care of the baby.
Yeah, I think it's all about perspective. I remember in my earlier days as a mother, I would say that like, oh, well, your mom and your sisters are keeping him alive, and they're, you know, but the reality of it is like when I needed help, who was I calling?
I was just
My mom and my sister. You know what I mean? And it's like now that he has a stepdad, I mean, or a bonus dad, you know, I'm like, Miles, you got this? Because I got something to do. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
That's so funny. Okay, so I'm sorry, it's not 10 things, but it's 7 things that stepmoms think but never say. So April, would be interesting to get your perspective. It says, yes, I married your ex. Get over it already.
Bitch looked up for that one. He said,
What you got to say about
Well, well, actually, early on, I probably did have that mindset, but I don't think it was I think it was more so concerned about the child and not what he was doing. So, but yeah, I'm like, you know, we all had an ex. It's okay, you know. So yeah.
Okay. It says, your kids are amazing, and at times I wish they were mine and would call me mom.
I mean, I don't necessarily wish. I feel like he is, you know, he's already a part of my, so I don't wish it to the extent of I wish he was mine and not yours.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm glad he's ours.
Right.
So, yeah.
Interesting perspective.
I love
Yeah.
that.
He's ours.
He's ours. I love
Okay.
that. Yay to you.
That might have to go in the to-go box.
Absolutely. That's all right.
Yeah,
That was
you know what I
great,
mean?
yeah.
Like that's a really good gem right there. Okay. It says, I'm not your enemy, and I would like nothing more than to be given a chance to love your kids. I only want the best for them, and I wish you could see and accept that.
I think that came through conversation. Yeah.
Your kids drive me absolutely crazy when they talk about you and how wonderful and perfect you are. And it's only because I'm jealous that they don't say those things about me.
Yeah. No, listen, let me tell you. I told y'all about my experiences with these baby mamas. So when, I realized that Amarion's mom was educated, for one, know, and I was like, well, praise God, he just didn't impregnate anything. So I'm grateful. You can talk about it all you want. Yeah. So,
I'm on your side, and I'm trying to learn how you want me to do things, but I'm going to screw up. So please don't say mean things about me to your kids. It's hard enough being a part-time step-parent without them hating me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stop gripping to your ex/my husband, stop griping to your ex/my husband about the things that I'm doing wrong. Just tell me. I'm an adult. I feel completely left out when you call and text my husband and never even try to talk to me. We need to have an open line of communication.
Yeah, I think we've come so far. So, we could relate to that stuff early on, but now it's just like, we don't really have those issues anymore. So, thank God for that.
Thank God for that. Okay, and then the last one says, don't banish me from your kids' school or sporting events. I'm there to support my husband and your kids. I'm not there to be a thorn in your side.
Oh, Nadia, know I'm coming.
He said, what is she
I'm like, that one hit close to home, too.
Right.
Yeah, my kid is pretty active as well.
April is actually the one that's at the game screaming. Yeah. And I'm sitting here like, quiet like a mouse.
Look, she's like, he scored? Is that what that was? Okay.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so then what are the common misconceptions about the bonus parent?
I think that they're trying to replace the parent, as well as they might be, I don't really know, feel some type of way, like I said, because of the relationship or not knowing where it stands. And I think that affects a lot of people, but it still goes back to having that communication to know. But, yeah.
Yeah, and I think for some bonus parents that have other kids outside of, your kids, sometimes there's the misconception that maybe they won't love your kids as much as they love their own.
Now, that's a good one, child.
That's a gem, yes.
Yeah, because I think a lot of, this is more so when kids are younger, but it's like, how are they treating you? Are they leaving you out? Are you, are they treating you different?
Yeah. Right. Or just being fair with all the kids. So don't do for one that you wouldn't do for the other. Or don't punish one the way you wouldn't punish the other.
Right. Okay. So then, is there any challenges that you guys are having now?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No, Nadia, I'm
just what you said. You actually just called me last night. So
we was on the phone all night.
That would have been awkward though. Right. And I would have been like, okay. No. Like, hash this out before y'all come, child. Look at Lakeisha like, no, I'm the counselor. So.
No, I'm agreeing. Like, child, we ain't doing no Iyanla. I love Iyanla, but we ain't doing that.
Lakeisha like, no, that's not how I do things at the evolving chair. So, yes.
So what do you think Godson's perception, and I'm sorry, I literally call him Godson, so Amarion. What do you think his perception is of you guys' relationship? So I'm asking April what she thinks.
And after we ask him, is it okay if we ask him?
I was just
since he's in here.
Yeah, if he doesn't mind getting on the mic.
He's shy, just like his mommy.
I promise you'll be okay after you
Yeah, JoJo and Nadia did a great job.
I think earlier on, in his messy stages, he has some messy stages.
Messy mama, messy son.
I think earlier on he kind of picked up on, just tension and different things taking place. So I think he was really unsure as to what the relationship was or how we really felt about each other, because he would ask, are you and my mom friends? Like I was telling Nadia. And I'd be like, I mean, she's not my friend, because I don't really know her. no, we're not friends, but you know, you don't want to say that because then in their mind, you're not friends, you're enemies. So it's like, no, you know, it's okay, we good, you know. But so I think earlier on, it was kind of like he felt like, you know, we didn't really get along because he's a very smart boy, and he can pick up on things, and so he knew. Plus, when he would hear conversations or whatnot, he would come to me even and be like, "So this happened," and I'm like, "Boy," right? And so I think earlier on he kind of knew that things were a little shaky, which I think is what motivated us more to kind of get things right. But now, I think he probably feels as if we're on good terms, we're on a good page, things are much better, because he will go through my phone and say, "Oh, you talked to my mom," or, you know, so once he sees us talking and that type of thing, he's like, "Oh, okay, it must be normal now." So, yeah, he's here, so let's hear from Marianne.
So, Godson, scoot up a little bit.
Yeah, come up to the mic.
Oh, Lord. You have to talk into the mic.
So, what do you think about your mom's relationship with April?
Right now, I think it's good, I guess.
So, do you remember when you were younger? Do you remember any thoughts from back then?
I didn't think it was that serious because I remember one Christmas with my dad, I like sung a song saying
Wait, I need to hear this. What happened?
Wait.
I sang a song saying how April was jealous of my mom.
Whoa, bro.
Messy song.
Messy.
Whoa.
Yeah, I didn't think it was that serious because it was a joke, but my dad got mad and I wasn't able to open my gift.
Dang. And that stuck with you all this time, didn't it?
But I eventually opened them.
And that was the most important thing, right? Was getting those
Absolutely.
gifts. Yeah.
Oh, wow. That was
Okay.
a funny story.
Do you ever feel like, or did you ever feel like you couldn't talk to your mom about April, or you couldn't talk to April about your mom?
I always talk to them about each other.
Oh,
Yes. That's good.
That's good. And so, are you comfortable with their relationship right now? You think it's good? I mean, you pretty much have it made. Like, you have like a
Parents.
Yeah, you
Right.
have a stepmom,
2
a
houses,
stepdad.
2 rooms,
Right.
everything.
Well, I remember years ago, like, he used to have double parties and stuff.
Yes.
And I used to be like, dude, how many gifts does a person have to give? Like, this don't make no sense.
Yeah. No, we wasn't doing that for JR. One party, bro. We gonna make this work, child.
Okay. I think that's all, unless anybody else has any other questions.
Yeah.
All right, he like, I'm out.
But you know what's crazy? He got on here and dropped a bomb. First of all, I
Right.
thought he was just going to be all timid. I remember.
Right.
I told y'all he was
Christmas.
messy.
He is so messy. So messy.
Just like his mama. Okay. So then, Miss Nadia, what advice would you give to someone who is a parent, who has a father, or I'm sorry, whose ex-husband or ex-boyfriend is dating someone? So first dating and then married to someone. Because like April said, there is a difference.
Right. I think when they're dating, I think it is important to, proceed with caution, because again, we don't know if they're really going to be with this person. And, the same way that, your ex is dating this person, it's kind of like your child is kind of dating them too. So like, you don't know what they're going to bring to the table. They can be crazy. They can be whatever. So I still think that it's important to have some sense of like, weariness, at first, just kind of like, let me just make sure. But, ultimately, once you see that it's going in the direction of marriage and that this person is going to be in their life for the long run, is just kind of, again, try to communicate and be open with what your feelings are, and try to extend yourself, to say, hey, these are my concerns. And what are your concerns, or how can we work through this? Because again, at the end of the day, the kid is the most important thing in the equation. So you want to make sure that you're knocking down all those barriers so that they don't see that, because I do believe that affects them in the end.
And then Miss April, what advice would you give to someone who's marrying or dating somebody with children?
Just going back to that communication, I think that's just like the top thing, because if you have an understanding of that individual and they have an understanding of you, it will eliminate so many conflicts. I think a lot of our early on stuff would be eliminated if we were communicating and understood each other. You know, it's important to know who your child's father or who is with, or who you're, you know. And so really getting to know that individual, especially if they're going to be a part of your child's life, just getting to know them so you can be more comfortable in knowing, you know, who your child is with. Because I think most of the time, the concern is about the child and not necessarily, unless there's a situation where you're just not over the ex. And I know that's a lot of situations. A lot of conflicts come from the individual not being over the ex. So they make it about the child, but they still want to be with the ex. And I don't think that had anything to do with our situation. I think the concern was definitely the child. So with that being the case, just having that communication and that understanding of each other.
Did you ever have concern that Alex wanted to get back with Nadia?
I didn't. Like I said, Alex was very upfront and honest about everything, I think. And so, like I said, I think my only drawback was the fact that understanding that was his child's mother. So there was some things that I felt like I was just not going to be able to have a say so, or that he felt like he had to do with that being his child mother and not ever being in a situation where you had to deal with that. Yeah. But in terms of them being together, honestly, like earlier on, it seemed like they didn't get along. So I didn't think that was ever an issue, because I'm just like, I don't even think y'all liked each other ever. The way,
how did you know,
so. But then, you know, there were moments where everything was good, you know, too. So I think that it would have been a concern possibly if some of that was shown throughout our process in terms of him talking to her and I didn't know about it, or things like that. You know, it was never any of that. Like, it was always open. And so from my perception, it was always, this is my child's mother, and, you know, we have to have a relationship regardless. So.
Yeah. So, and I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but if so, then Dooch will just have to edit it out. But so Nadia's pregnant now, and it's via IVF. Thank God, won't he do it?
Praise the Lord.
And there was a moment where Nadia told us that you called her, or maybe text her, and said, I really want to come and pray for you. And she said that you came and you really prayed for her.
Girl, no, she fake pray.
Came over her, you know, came in the house, you know, and you wanted to be in alignment with her for the thing that she was hoping to bring forward. So tell me about that. What made you say?
Well, aside from her being my husband's child's mother, aside from that, just us being women. And I think that's another thing, if in relationships, if we just take off the fact that we had an ex, we all had an ex before. I just didn't get pregnant by mine, so I didn't have that aspect. You know what I mean? So we have all had some type of situation. So aside from that, like I said, if I didn't know her outside of that, I think we would have clicked. If we would have met somewhere, I think we would have clicked, because, you know, we have a lot in common. And so aside from all of that, I adore her as a person. You know, I really do. And so when she was going through the whole situation, not only I can relate to, you know, the infertility issues, but I'm a strong believer in God. Like, I have crazy faith. And so when we would talk about that, and understanding that being 16 and pregnant, not planning it, not thinking that this who you're going to spend the rest of your life with, and then later on down the line being married to a guy who doesn't have kids, you want to give your husband. Any woman can say, I don't want, but I think as women, at some point, that is something that you desire, and so you want to give your husband that child, and being able to relate to that. I'm just like, I prayed just in general, just praying to God and asking, you know, work the situation out, you know, fix it or whatnot. And so when he dropped it in my spirit to actually go and pray for her, I texted and I said, I hope this not weird, you know, but I just got to do what God told me to do. And so I went in faith, believing that, you know, it was really going to happen for them. And so I went not thinking about this is Amarion's mother, not thinking about this is my husband, ex, any of that. Thinking about this is another woman who I'm believing God for. If it was any other woman, if it was my sister, if it was somebody at church, if it was, you know what I mean? And really want to see that happen for her. So, you know, I did just that. So
that's amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing.
Yes.
And that's an awesome ending, I think, to this segment.
Yeah, definitely.
So then what are our final thoughts? Or what are we going to put in the to-go box? What are we taking back? Takeaways. I'm going to refer to a couple things that you said that I thought were really good. When you said, you know, just now, take away all these other labels. We are women.
Right.
We have all been somebody's exes. So why can't we just align on that? Right. We're women.
Absolutely.
We have common things that we've been through. So even though there may be a little bit of friction, I know that we can reach and understand it because we are women. The other thing that you said was in regards to the child, I don't want to fight over whose he is. Why he can just be ours. You know, I'm fine with him just being ours. And I thought that was an amazing perspective that you provided. Anybody else for takeaways to go by?
I think for me, just communication is key. It starts with communication. I don't care what type of relationship you have to communicate.
And to piggyback on the things that I've heard as well, just, you know, like we already said, make it all about the child. That's the goal. Like, we want to make sure that this child is happy and they have the things that they need. Because it is a blessing to have those bonus parents and to have so many people invested in you and who love you. I think it's sweet. So make it all about the kid.
Yeah. I think that it's important to note that neither April or I are perfect. You know, I mean, we definitely keep God at the forefront of everything that we do, but I just hope that this is maybe touching someone and just kind of letting them know that if it can work for us, child, it can work for you.
Absolutely.
That's so funny. I'm also going back to something else that Nadia has said to me in the past. You know, when there were those times where it's, you know, a little bit of friction or frustration, you know, she would just be like, you know what, Sherry, this is why God says that things are supposed to be done in a certain order.
Absolutely.
Amen.
You know, these are the consequences of what happens when you go outside of that. You know, now I have to deal with this. They have to deal with that.
True.
And ultimately, it only affects my kid. You know?
That's right.
So,
Indeed.
all right. Well, thank you for tuning in to episode 6.
Woo,
woo.
Until next time.
Peace. Thank you for listening to Brunch with Besties. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to shoot us an email at brunchwithbestiespodcast@gmail.com. You can also find us on Instagram. Our handle is @brunchwithbestiespodcast. For right now, you can listen on SoundCloud. Be sure to review, subscribe, and comment. We appreciate it. Thank you.